Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome back. If you've been here before, my name is Dion. I call this Crazy Tronation. We are going to rank, yes y'all know I don't do rankings because it creates a lot of anxiety, but we're going to rank my grunge / goth palettes, and we have 16 of them, and some of them y'all going to be like, I don't know. Some are more goth leaning, some are more grunge leaning, but I love them all. And so I'm going to explain to you why I see these as grunge or goth palettes, because some of them you're going to be thinking like, no. It depends on how you do your color placement. That's what it really boils down to. So I'm going to show you each palette, then we're going to go through and put them in some kind of order. So first is my MAC BYOP. Maybe a cheat because these are single shadows and I put in here. This to me, excuse me, particularly this row right here. I just realized I didn't do my intro because one of the last things in my intros is an organism that lives in my throat that randomly hiccups, gurgles, and belches, and I just kind of hiccup, so excuse me for that. And the other thing is I curse, and I didn't talk about why it's called the Crazy Tronation. Crazy, just knowing it's okay to be your authentic self. The troll part is not caring too much about what the beauty community says. You set the standard for yourself. Wear whatever you want to, using whatever tool to get your makeup on in a way that you are satisfied with it. The bottom line here is self-acceptance and self-love, embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, but never feeling like you have to. Love yourself because of who you are, even when you're not wearing face paint. So this row here, yes, y'all would say, okay, I can see the grunge because it's those mustardy green tones. Y'all, my bag flipped over and I heard something jingle. It was the the zipper thing. I was just like, what is that? Yeah, that bag right there. But also with these purples, and even with some of these tones, depending on where you place your colors, this, I would consider this a grungy palette. And so we have that, and I call this my cobalt palette because I look at it, I know this shade is cobalt. My other MAC BYOP, this one I call Starry Night because of this shade right here. This is a dual chrome, so this is Starry Night, the blue, and then it's not a blue. This is grungy too, same reason. These blues down here and greens down here, but then depending on where you place these other tones as well, this deep shade, this black is nice, and this brown, and you have some shimmers up here. But this, I do consider this a grungy palette, and I do like it. Again, it depends on your color placement. Y'all already know, say it with me, beans and booty. And I know I didn't get loud like I usually do. I love this freaking palette. The majority of these are dual chrome or multi-chrome. The only two mattes is 1, 2. And when I first used this palette, I didn't hate it. I severely disliked how this showed up on me. I did not like how this looked on me. And then one day I used the palette and I used these 2 shades and I'm like, they look really nice. And so I don't know what was going on with me when I first used those 2 shades. I did not like how they showed up on me, but now I do. So things do change. So yeah, this is Mothman from Notoriously Morbid. I do have a code down below that'll give you 15% off. I do believe they're changing their formula to one where when you order something, it won't take them as long to make it or to press it. I think they're going to start factory pressing, but I'm not sure. Do not quote me on that. But I did read something that they are changing the formula so that they can get orders out quicker, which is amazing, because some people have told me they only don't buy from Notoriously Morbid because it takes so long to get products, and they're just like, I'm not waiting 2 or 3 months to get it. So I'm really excited that they're doing what they're doing because I think it's a wonderful brand. It works for me. The formulas, I just love it. So again, this is the Mothman palette. Say it with me, beans and booty. I just think that's so cute. All right, we have a lot of Notoriously Morbid. We do have, I am on their PR list. I had, I think, 4 of their palettes, and after that is when they started sending me PR. This is Unearthly Aura, so this one I did receive in PR. And y'all know if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you. So I'm not saying these are amazing because they were given to me. I'm saying they're amazing because I really do. What I love most about this palette is these 2 rows right here. These shades show up dark except for this one because that's a gold type shade. Everything in here is dual chrome or multi-chrome, and I have done looks just this palette on its own. I don't feel like I have to have a matte in every look. I don't feel like I need to have a shimmer or metallic in every look. But if you are that person that you have to have a matte, I encourage you to do an all shimmer look. You might like it. And if you have to have a shimmer, I challenge you to do an all matte look. You might like it, but at least try it to see for sure. This is definitely grunge. Like this is just pure grunge. These shades, I don't know what else to tell you. When Fabulous Fiftiosity did my face, I was saying the second time I wanted her to do a grungy look, and she kept looking in palettes. Oh, they don't have dark shades, dark shades. To her, grunge is more just smoky, and this was too far for me to get up and go get it to show her. This is Grunge Life from Salem Cosmetics. Look at this. This isn't all dark, but it's called Grunge Life. This is a grunge palette. And so if you think back to the MAC ones that I just showed you, look at the color stories. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I really wanted to show her this, but I didn't think of it until after she had already started doing my makeup, because I wanted to show her grunge just doesn't mean smoky. And I know we have our own concepts of what an aesthetic is or what it looks like. But yeah, this is a grunge palette. It's called Grunge Life. And I really do enjoy this palette because it's grungy. And I don't have to be like, depends on where you put your colors. It's called grunge. It's called Grunge Life. And so that's that. You're going to be surprised by this. Nomad Fire. No, Nomad Iceland. Iceland Fire and Ice palette. I am so exhausted, y'all. I'm reading this note I had on here. This to me is a grungy palette, particularly these tones over here, but then also mixing it with this row. These are just a bonus. So I would say this half is grunge, but then if we're going to say also goth, that can play into this side of the palette. So we have our fire side and we have the ice side of the palette, but I have mixed them. You can mix warm cones. No, we're not talking about ice cream. You can mix warm tones and cool tone shadows for a look. It just depends on how you do your blending and what the actual shadows look like. But I do consider this a grungy palette. I do. I do. You can say it's not for you, and that is absolutely fine. Chicago Speakeasy. This one I purchased. Chicago Speakeasy was sent to me by the brand. And this, say what you want. I would say this is more goth than grunge, but I like goth too. But then I have a habit of putting on like yellow eyeliner, so it gives it like a punk type look. But anyway, I would say this is a grunge palette, which is one of my vibes too. Like, this is just a really pretty palette. So yeah, so these are the grunge / goth palettes. This one is really easy. This is Jolena from Lethal. They don't make it anymore, but this is grunge. I don't know what else to say. This is just grunge, and I love this palette. It has, the PAO is in December this year, 2024, and this palette did have a 24-month PAO, and I've used it a lot. I need to use it some more before it officially like dies, and I do use the palette until the formula starts to feel like it's changing, or, you know, if it irritates my lids, that's automatic, you're going in the garbage. But I do use palettes longer than the PAO until something just starts to change. Yeah, but that's grunge for me. Another Lethal Cosmetics. This is Midnight Serenade, and I almost didn't get it because I had Jolena, and so, but Jolena is a lot more rich. This palette to me is Jolena's little sister, so I'm going to hold them up together. The bottom is Jolena, the top is Midnight Serenade. So you see what I'm saying? You just have a few more purple reddish tones like up here, and this one has a black. Jolena doesn't. But the rest of the palette, some of the shades, it's not dupes. It's not dupes at all, but it's just a softer vibe than Jolena. And so I would say that Midnight Serenade is more of a goth vibe, whereas Jolena to me is a grunge vibe. And so those are those two. Damn, all the rest of these are notoriously morbid. I'm going to separate out what was PR and what I purchased. Damn. Okay, I only have two. Wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Stone Cold Medusa, they sent me this, and this is all metallic shimmer, whatever you want to call it. This I would say this is a grunge palette, because I'm looking at the tones in these, and this is what I see in person. So you have like that dark kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, woodsy, muddy type vibe. Not muddy in a bad way, but I like messy grunge, like not the cutesy stuff, and this gives me that. And I love this palette, and I am glad that they have sent that to me. This one they sent to me as well. This is one of the newer ones, and it's fall, y'all, so it's a fall palette, and I do like the looks I did with it. I would consider this more goth than grunge because it is lighter tones, and it's not going to give me that murk and that little muddy swamp water type vibe. But this I would definitely say is a goth vibe for me. And it can be subjective. Y'all already know Bogwood. You can look at the cover and tell. Y'all know. Straight grunge, period. That's all I gotta say about that. Gold Dust Woman. Their formula works for me. Once in a while I'll get a shade that doesn't want to swatch well, doesn't want to pick up on a brush, or you know, it might arrive shattered, but it's only been few and far in between. But this is Gold Dust Woman, y'all. Look at this. This is grungy. This is murky. Look at these tones. I don't even have a lot to say. It's going to be hard ranking these. I just did my Natasha Denona ranking, which surprisingly did not create for me a lot of anxiety. And I think because it's a distraction for me from, number one, my uncle passing, and number two, the election. So I think I'm just distracting my damn self. Rusted Essence Volume 3. Did they send me? Yeah, they did send me this one, and I did order 1 and 2. This is, I would say this is a goth vibe. I would say this is a goth vibe, but then I think this can border grungy as well, because you have these mustard tones up here and these tones down here in this row, and this has a green tint to it. So this is what I see in person, but when I hold it this way it looks more white, but this is the green. So with this bottom row and this top row, I would say this is a goth palette. And it can also be a grunge palette. This shade for me, the only time this works for me, I think it's just hard pressed. I think it's too hard pressed. When I use the brush, it doesn't want to pick up. I have to scrape it with a spoolie, this one, and then tap the brush into whatever I scraped up and put it on. But I don't want to do that every time. So how I found this works for me is a dense, pointed eyeliner brush, because it picks up on that, and I'll just put it on lower lash line and it shows up really pretty. But trying to use this on the lid, it's just more work than I want to put in. But I would say I'll say this is a grungy palette. But if you wanted to do goth, you can do that too. You can do whatever your little heart desires. I just thought, what if this wasn't recorded? And I am breezing through it. We have 2 more nights here. They did send me this one as well, and it only has 2 mattes. This one right here and this one down here. But this is a grunge palette because it's murky. Like, look at these tones as best as you can. I'm trying to get some of the glares off. So just the tones of it, and these are not similar in person. They look like it is in a pan, but when I put them on, like, they're not. I'm trying to get the glares off for you to see the colors. But this is it's just a simple grunge vibe. Because anything you put on your lid, you put this or that to it, you're going to get that murkiness. Well, I will get the murkiness that I find so enjoyable. Yo, I don't know what we're going to do. I purchased this one. This one is Paint the Town Red. Is this grungy or gothy? Or is it just smoky? I think this is just smoky. We're not going to count this one. This is just smoky. I'm looking at it because it's so pretty. Okay, let me put it this way. We're not going to count this one. So let me cross that off on my paper. So that leaves us 15 palettes instead of 16. What was that one? Paint the Town Red. So we're going to cross that one out. So we have 15 shades. I mean 15 palettes we have to rank. Damn. What the hell I get myself into? I can tell y'all right now, number one, you already know. Whenever I've done tiers for the palettes, top tier, low tier, mid tier, this is always top. Beans and booty, that is so cute. This is number one, period. So we already know that. I'm wondering if I should go from number 1 down to 15 instead of opposite, and then do the reverse to recap at the end. I think that might be easier for me. So what was that one? Mothman is number 1. Mothman will always be number 1. You know what? I'm gonna do like I did for my Natasha palettes. When I did the ranking for the next one, whatever palette popped into my mind, that's where it placed. So I didn't just like really just put a lot of deep thought into it. It's whatever popped into my mind, that was it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna argue with myself. So what popped into my mind was the Starry Night BYOP from MAC. So this is gonna be number 2. Just those tones, y'all. Oh my gosh. And there's a lot of depth in here as well. In that bottom row with those greens. And so Starry Night is number 2, and Cobalt is going to be number 3. Oh, swallowed the wrong way, excuse me. MAC shadows just work for me, y'all. If you're near a CCO, cosmetic company outlet, or a CCS, cosmetic company store, you can get MAC shadows cheap. Some of these were like $4. A couple were like 90% off. They were like $2 and some change. And, you know, then you just go and order the palette and just put your palette together. So this is number 3. This is gothy and it's grungy, depending on where you place your shadows. This is working out this way because it's... We're going to say Jolene is number 4. This is grungy, period. I don't even know what else to say. And so I am glad that we went through me showing you the palettes first. My throat is starting to feel scratchy. That's how I always tell when I'm starting to get sick. It was feeling like that the day before my uncle's funeral, but then the day of the funeral it wasn't. And it might just be sleep deprivation that is scratchy, because I don't know if I said it in this video, but I said it in the Natasha Denona ranking. I had 90 minutes of sleep. So the next thing that popped into my head, believe it or not, was the Chicago Speakeasy palette. So this is going to be number 5. This is a beautiful palette. There are so, excuse me for that. There's so many different things you can do with this. One of these, 2 of these, I believe, made me look ashy. I do believe this was one of them. I want to say this one as well, but I'm not sure. This is a beautiful palette, and I do think this is more goth than grunge. And when I play this back, I'll have said the opposite earlier. Hey, it bees like that sometimes. So that is number 5. Let's see what we got. All of these. Wow. See, now I'm starting to think, and I don't want to think. I just want to do like whatever pops into my head. We're going to say Lethal Cosmetics. This is kind of surprising me that this popped into my head for number 6, because I think, well, this is more goth than grunge, and I do prefer grunge over goth. But what I don't like about this palette, I put these 2 next to each other, they looked exactly the same. I put these 2 next to each other, they look exactly the same. I put this shade next to this one, they looked exactly the same. They could have just put this one and this one, but I do like the looks that I did. So in these shades up here, the shimmers in here, all these are pretty. And the matte, Lethal just works for me. And so this one is number 6. All right, it's getting tough because nothing is coming to my mind. And I'm wondering if, like, when I look over the one I see, if that's just the one. Iceland Fire and Ice. And I want to say this is grunge, but only just this half. Well, you know what? Yeah, just this half of the palette. So this is going to be number 7. Y'all like, girl, you're not explaining anymore. Y'all, my throat hurts. Okay, y'all, we are, I'm at the ladies out. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I'm doing this tonight, because then I can take all of these palettes and all of my Natasha palettes, put them back in the bag I bought them in, which is that bag right there. And I can put that in my car. It was heavy. All these damn palettes. I'm going to say, oh shit, see now here I'm thinking. I'm going to say it's fall, y'all, and y'all might think this is silly, because when I look at this don't say grunge or goth. Like, I don't know what this says except it's fall, y'all. But this is going to be number 8. And I do feel like this is more goth than grunge, and I do prefer grunge over goth. But this is a really pretty palette, and it surprised me because when I saw it online, I was like, But then they sent it to me, and I was like, oh. So I'm glad that they did. Ow, my neck just cracked, because I don't think I would have purchased it. But seeing it in person and doing looks with it, this is a really nice palette. And their formula, it works for me. Like, I love this palette. And sometimes it is that way where you wouldn't have purchased something, but then when you get it, you're like, damn, if I had known, I would have purchased it. You know what I mean? So that's how that is with this one. Because once I started using it, well, I saw it, and I'm like, wow. And then when I used it, I was like, oh shit, this is really nice. And so because it is more goth than grunge, that one is number 8. And I'm trying to find it on the paper. Okay. So that's number 8. I'm thinking too much. this is getting hard. And now I'm actually opening and looking at them. We're going to take Rusted Essence for number 9. Am I going? I'm going backwards. Wait a minute, because we were doing what we liked first. I've been doing this backwards. Because for Natasha, we went backwards. Oh, you know what? Yep. Damn it. All right, we're going to start over. We're going to start over. Damn. We're going to start over. And I'm thinking I should just rank them and like edit that out because okay, listen, this is what we're gonna do, because some of these that's left, these are higher ranking than some of the ones that I did, and so somewhere along the line somewhere along the line I flipped it. Mothman is number 1. Starry Night is number 2. Cobalt is number 3. Excuse me for that glare. Jolena is number 4. And then that's where stuff got convoluted. Okay. Let me cross out these numbers. All right, we're going to get it, y'all. We're going to get it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me cross out these other numbers, because in my mind I flipped it, and I do be confusing myself sometimes, as you see. Okay, so we have Mothman number 1, Starry Night, BYOP Mac number 2, Cobalt Mac number 3, and Jolena number 4. So what's going to be number 5? Shit. Number 5. Here we go, right here. Bog Witch, pure grunge, period. Ain't nothing else to say about it. So I'm questioning now if I want to move one of those MAC palettes, but you know, we're going to leave it where it is. And also they would be BYOP, since I put them that way for a reason. We're going to put Grunge Life for number 6. I love this palette though. I'm wondering if I'm still backwards, but we're not, because we're going down. Grunge Life number 6. We're going to put Stone Cold Medusa as number 7. This is grungy in the sense that the way the shades show up, it does give me that murkiness. And so this is going to be number 7. I apologize for that, y'all. So what was that one? Stone Cold. Stone Cold is number 7. Number 8. Number 8. Number 8 is going to be, even though that one shade is hard pressed and it's almost unusable, Rusted Essence Volume 3. This is going to be number 8. Easy peasy, y'all. I have Notoriously Morbid gave me an appreciation for 9-pan palettes. I can honestly say that, because usually I'm like, I want more shades than that, but I've been doing a lot with those. So number 8 is Rusted Essence. Number 9. Number 9. Damn. Number 9. Gold Dust Woman. Messy grunge, murky. And that's what I like. So this is number 9. Let me know what y'all are thinking about my placements. Let me know what you think about these palettes if you have them. Yeah, that's number 9. I do have a playlist for each of these palettes. For the MAC ones, it's a MAC BYOP playlist. But for everything else, it has its own playlist. Damn. Okay, we're at number 10. Number 10, we're going to do Unearthly Aura. This is a fun palette. There's a lot of variation. I can get grunge out of here, but also I can get goth out of here too. Like the QT. I can get QT. can I speak? I can get cutesy grunge from this palette. And this palette has more variety than people may think. They set it up for you to do looks in rows. I mean columns. This is a look, this is a look, this column is a look, that column is a look. So I make it a point to hop around in the palette because I don't want to do typical looks that most people would gravitate to. Monochromatic looks are very pretty, but I like to see what else I can do. And so this is number 10 because it does challenge me. And I just stuck the tip of this fell into a shadow from the next palette I'm going to show you. And so Unearthly Aura is number 10. And you know, if I did this again tomorrow, it would just be different, I think. This one is Night Seer from Notoriously Morbid. This is more gothy, but it's so pretty. And these two shades right here, they do not show up the same on the lid. And it looks like they would, but they don't. This is a beautiful palette. I wish I could show you more, but it is very reflective. And even though it's only 2 mattes in there, it's a lot you can do with those 2 mattes and with that look. So that's our number 10. These palettes, y'all, this is hard because Notoriously Morbid, their formula just works. And the shimmers, the dual chrome, the multi-chromes, like the colors show up and they show up bold and bright. And I'm just like, damn, we're going to, shit. I'm gonna have to turn this stack upside down. We're gonna do his fall, y'all. Do we want to do his fall? No. We're gonna do. Actually, this is more gothy. I'm thinking we're gonna take this out of the equation. We're going to take this out just like we took out Painted Town Red. So that was Is Fall, y'all. So that'll leave us with 14 palettes. So Is Fall, y'all, we are completely just taking that out. Because I'm looking at it like, is it really goth? Is it grunge? Like, what is it? It's just a fall palette. It is really pretty, though. The next one... Lethal Cosmetics Midnight Serenade. We already talked about it. This is a grungy palette. It is a grungy palette. The way these tones show up, and even the way like these shimmers up here show up in this brown, and you know, and yeah, just give me that one and this one, the other two. Then you have a black in here too. You can deepen up. This blue is very bright. So this one here, excuse me, I do consider it a grungy palette, and that one is number 11. Wait. Night Seer was 11. Unearthly was 10. Night Seer is 11. That's Midnight Serenade. So that's number 12. We got 2 more. And they're both Nomad. And I'm looking at them. All right, number 13 is going to be Chicago Speakeasy. This, because the whole palette is a vibe. And you can use anything in here without being like, I don't know if I want to mix warm tones and cool tones, but this has like a little, you know, this can be the cute grunge. It could also be goth as well, but this, as you see, is second to the bottom, but it still has that vibe. So that's number 13. Where are you? I'm looking at my paper. Chicago 13. So that makes the last palette, that makes Iceland number 14, which is this one. And it's last because it's only this half of the palette. And you can incorporate some of these blues for a goth look, but just if I want grunge, it's only over here. So that's why this is last. And so we're going to go backwards. 14, excuse me, is Iceland Fire and Ice. Number 13 is Nomad Cosmetics Chicago Speakeasy. This palette is really pretty. I'm looking at it like, wow. And the next one, Midnight Serenade, is number 12. And I think it is only because of these 4 shades right here. I think if those were different shades, or if they showed up different on me, I think that this would have placed higher. Because it's like, wait, 2 wasted shades in here for me. You know what I mean? And so that is number 12. Number 11, Notoriously Morbid, is the Night Seer palette. This is grungy. And earlier I probably said gothy. I don't know. Unearthly Aura. This is number 10. This palette is fun, and it has that vibe, man. It has that vibe. Oh, I love this palette. Yeah, so these are my goth / grungy palettes. Let me know if you think some of these are not goth or grungy. And it is subjective, but to me, these are goth or grungy, or could go either way. And so now we're down to Gold Dust Woman palette from Notoriously Morbid. And this one is number 9. Pure grunge, period. So this is like no question about what it is in my mind. Or, oh, it could go either way. No, this is grunge. Number 8 is Rusted Essence. This is just pure grunge as well, period. And you can see the tones. Like, that to me is what grunge is. That swamp water type vibe. And so that's number 8. Number 7, we have a lot of Notoriously Morbid. Number 7 is Stone Cold Medusa. All shimmer, all metallic, dual chrome. There's a couple of multi-chromes in here or whatever. This is grungy because of how those greens show up, this column right here. But then also incorporating other stuff too and get that messy grunge look, and even adding this shade in and this into a look. And this one, well, the whole palette. Let me just, because I'm like this one and this one and this one and this one. So this one is number 8. Am I right about that? Number 8 is, no, Stone Cold Medusa, number 7. Number 6. Number 6 is Grunge Life. So you see what I'm saying about the tones. Give me that swamp water, that murk. Put a little pop of shine if you want. And this surprised me. This is a bold ass shade. Surprised me. And I like that there's a black in here, and that dark green and a dark brown. Like this is it, y'all. This is it. So we're down to the wire now. Bog Witch, grunge, period. This is that swamp vibe. Number 5. Number 4 is Jolena. That may or may not be dying soon. This is definitely grunge. This is that messy grunge. I love it. Number 3, Cobalt, Mac BYOP. This is a grungy palette. And I'm looking at this like, it could place different because it is just only some of the shades, but then I can get that messy grunge out of here too. So this is number 3. Number 2 is our Starry Night palette, which to me is more grungy than Starry Night. Well, no, instead of the Cobalt, this is more grungy to me than Cobalt because of, and I think it's those bright blues in there that's kind of throwing me off. But this whole palette, it's just messy. The messy grunge I like. And number 1, say it with me, Beans, Booty. Yo, I love this freaking palette. This will always be number 1, I think. Look at these shades. And think about some of the other palettes I've shown you from Notoriously Morbid. Like, because everything in it, this is a grungy palette. And so looking at these tones and thinking of the other palettes I showed you, they have some element of this. Even the brighter shades. You know what I'm saying? And this is like, I don't know what color this is. It looks purple looking right here at it in my witchamajigga. Sorry for poking your eye, but when I look over here, I see a pink. There's a lot of dual chromes in this palette. But this will always be number 1. This will always be number 1. So that is my ranking, y'all. And I apologize for that confusion midway through. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you're surprised. If y'all been here, y'all, I know y'all ain't surprised by Beans and Booty. I just know that y'all are not. But what about the other rankings, the other palettes? What are your thoughts? Do you have any of them? If you do, what do you think about them? Let's help each other out in the comment section with our thoughts about these palettes, in case someone else might be like, you know what, Dion really likes that palette, and people keep commenting they like it too. So let's help each other out. Say what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Are you surprised by my ranking, or are you just like, okay, whatevs? And so thank you for being here for my grunge and goth palette ranking. It was easier than ranking used to be, and I think because I didn't think too much about it. It's like whatever palette comes into my mind, that's the next one. You know what I mean? And again, I apologize for that confusion. When we got halfway through, I'm like, wait, what? But I'm glad we worked it out. And so leave your comments below. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you being here. I would love for you to stay and subscribe. And for everyone else, Go ahead and leave your comments, like the video, share it if you find it helpful or entertaining, or if you know someone who also enjoys the grunge aesthetic or the goth aesthetic. And so, yeah, so you'll see me in the next video. As always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.